Alright, welcome back, guys. I finally found some spare time to Conlang, luckily. So I decided to use this opportunity. I don't know how much time I have. I'm hoping like a good hour or so. If I sound weird, that's because I'm sick a bit. I caught a cold somehow, but that's fine. I'm fine. I may cough sometimes, but or I don't know, sneeze, but other than that, I'm good. Anyway, so last time I made this language family, and recently I opened it just to look at it, and I was like, it's a whole load of garbage. It's not what I was going for. So I decided to trash that and we start from scratch. The only thing I'm changing is that I'm giving us 10,000 years instead of 20, and that's about the stuff that we kind of keep. So far, we have we kind of have this idea on what we should do. I only wrote down two things, so that the rest I can just like collect as I'm thinking. Hmm. Hold on, guys. I gotta check something. There's something really loud out there. Can't really decide. Can't really decide what the fuck is making that sound, honestly. Some kind of engine, but anyways, consonants and vowels. I want to have a consonant inventory and a vowel inventory. Now, I also don't just want to have a proto-language, but I do want to also um, like have an idea on what I want these to kind of look like. And I have never done such thing before, so this is like kind of my first time doing this pre-planned type of stuff. Somebody may have come home by the way, so I might have to start speaking less. I don't know, honestly. Anyways, vowels. Vowels is pretty easy. I think we're just gonna have I, U, E, O, A by default. And I say let's add length distinction. Hold on, which one is this one? I'm gonna add length distinction. I cannot speak, sorry. But I'm gonna add length distinction. And I might get lazy and not use the actual diacritic. I'm just gonna use macrons. So that's fine. It's a close mid, open, front, front, back. Um, let's color code. Oops. All right. So the vowels are pretty simple, right? We're not really gonna mess too much with these. I think we can put these aside. As for consonants, what do we want? We want nasals, obviously. We want plosives. I would like to have ejective plosives, so ejective plosives. For sure, because then you can do this. I'm gonna explain later what my idea is, but we could do that, and then What else? Obviously, we need fricatives, so we need at least one sibilant fricative. So, pretty much. We could have non-sibilant fricatives too, technically. Like, I don't know, some glottal or anything. And yeah, approximant is fine. Trills are good. And I'm thinking for laterals, we definitely could have a lateral approximant, la, but we also could have lateral fricatives, just such as sh and ja, which could be nice, but technically only sh. Yeah, so that would be lateral fricatives. I don't know why I abbreviated them in the lexicon file, but I'm gonna check right now. So yeah, I think that's the base idea. So now it just comes down to filling these in. So obviously for nasals we want m and n at least. For plosives, but k. I don't know about the glottal stuff, but for ejectives you definitely have k. And non-fricative, that's non-sibilant. This is a better question. But definitely we could have h as like a weak sound, you know? That's fairly standard. But I'm gonna leave that as is. Approximants. I always forget whether velars or alveolars come first, and I keep forgetting, so I'm just gonna check real quick. Palatals are first. Sorry, I meant like palatals, where palatals are. Palatals are first, then come velars. And we need that column, and we also need the labiovelar column, because we're gonna have w and ya, r, k, and l. And that should do it for our inventory. We could have so we could theoretically have and then its adjective would be geminated, so it would be but I'm not sure about that. I think I'm not gonna have that. So yeah, bilabial, labiovelar, alveolar, palatal, oh god, palatal, velar, and glottal. And that's about for a consonant inventory, for the Proto language at least. Oh, there we go. We already have vowels, that's nice. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. Now, stress, we definitely want stress. I'd say either penult. Could have penult. Or maybe anti-penult. So either the second or the third to last syllable. Or we could have this like hierarchy of stress. So you know we have short and long vowels. We want a syllable structure for sure. And I'm gonna possibly do just simple CV optional C, maybe. Probably like this. So necessary consonant at the beginning, but you know optional at the end for each syllable. So our max syllable structure is CVC. It's a closed syllable, right? So what we could do is have like a hierarchy of where the stress falls. So we always count from the beginning. And what we count is that so the stress if there is one, then it falls on a closed syllable of a long vowel. So that's a close, right? So V closed. Actually, I should do this one because that's a syllable notation, I think, in Lexergy. So long vowel closed. That is at the top of the hierarchy. Then, technically, you have two choices. So you either put open long vowels and closed short vowels at the same level, or you somehow order them. I would say that they could technically go on the same level, and they would just be like whoever goes first. So V, simple V, closed slash long V open, and then does come normal V open. Just technically just the first syllable, right? So then first. So we could do this. So let's make some example words. So let's have say maybe actually hold on, let's have the root word as. If we add an a suffix and actually hold on, no, let's make it short just so that I can you know, differentiate. It becomes long then. And for another one, we could have like a long close. So as on its own receives first syllable. Ase receives it on the a. Asi will still receive it on the second, but something like the without, or maybe like this without the ha. That's a long vowel in an open syllable. I don't know why the house is making such weird sounds. But then in this case, if you don't append that ha to close that syllable, then the stress will fall here again because it's a short vowel in a closed syllable, and it comes before the long vowel in the open syllable. So we could do this to kind of like screw with stress, which could be nice, but it creates a lot of vowel alterations if we do so. Hold on one second, I gotta answer somebody. Right. Just related to school. Just had to quickly jump in there. Anyways, so we could do this for stress, or we could do the regular penult slash anti-penult. You know what? Let's have this. I like this. I like this heavier syllable type thing. So this like, yeah, it's kind of like, actually this is kind of like a Mora system. It's very similar to a Mora system where like a bunch of stuff have like numbers you calculate and then it falls on the something Mora. But yeah. Stress hierarchy. I think that's how you spell hierarchy. Actually, no, let's not color it. Okay, just gonna make this bold. That's it now. Nice. The stress hierarchy, top to bottom, descending. So cool. So we have a CVC syllable structure. That's cool. That gives us a bunch of possibilities already. You could have something like a syllable ending in ta followed by an adjective ta, or like causing some interesting stuff to happen. Anyways, uh, hmm. I mean, yeah, sure, this is fine. I think this is fine. So, what I was trying to explain earlier is what my idea was. The reason why I have adjectives as well as regular plosives. I'm just gonna mark this as a subcategory, adjective. So regular plosives, if they're voiceless, voicing is a form of lenition. It weakens the sound. The voiced consonants are just genuinely weaker than voiceless ones, and so what the idea is, is that there is a change shift. Oh my goodness, I'm speaking faster than I speak. What? I'm speaking faster than I think. Oh my goodness. Dude, the 6 hour sleep is getting to me. Anyways, so the idea is that there's a chain shift where pa, ta, ka become ba, da, ga via lenition, just unconditional, and then at, a, ka, because they're adjectives, they're much harsher, they can remain pa, ta, ka. So we have this voicing distinction arising from basically, ejective versus non-ejective. And that's the idea basically. So yeah. Another option is if it's another branch, you could take, for example, adjectives, and I think you could turn them into geminates. Uh, so pa, ta, ka, uh, like that, which could be interesting as well, I guess. Really does give quite a few options. Sh is also interesting because it's kind of between sh and l. You kind of have, you can make a split, I guess. This is like, I'm missing some stuff. Okay, first off, I'm gonna expand on the non-sibilant fricatives. I'm gonna expand on that category with pharyngeals. I'm gonna have, well, actually just one pharyngeal probably. It is. I'm gonna have ha. Hmm. That's nice. Because, that could do like vowel manipulation. And I could technically also have a h, which could be like more sensitive to palatalization by analogy of the velars. Also, another thing you can do, I think, with velars is that, or like, just adjectives in general, I think adjectives could be more resistant to palatalization because of the extra quality of the adjective before like the front vowel. So if you have two words like kit and it, then you originally just have a normal versus adjective, but because the adjective is much less sensitive to palatalization, kit could turn into, I'm just going to use laser romanization, kit could turn into chit, and it could stay the same as kit. Again, another branch idea, just really. So there's a bunch of things you can do with adjectives. Uh, all right, that's nice. Uh, okay. I think this is a decent inventory. I'm gonna say that I think this segment is done. And now the question. Oh my goodness, I didn't even know I made this. Hold on. I'm gonna have to cut this down to 10,000 because I did overwrite the years. So here we go. Here we go. Okay. So, mm, I'm thinking, what else should we do? I should definitely do some theories on what I want the modern language to work like, which does mean I have to go through mostly stuff like grammar. I could also decide on how I want the phonology to look like, which kind of depends on what type of branch I want to do. Really, there's like a million options. Holy, I don't know what to do. Hmm. Well, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what I want the modern language to look like. I do have some vague ideas, but it's like mostly just hallucinations. So I think I'm gonna leave phonology. Like I'm just gonna see where phonology goes, pretty much. I do have actually for the vowels because the consonants I don't really have an idea. For the vowels, I do have an idea. So there's a basic iuewa, right? And how I was planning on modifying this is rather having o become a, like a bit lazier, and e becoming the schwa. Like as like instead of having a standard iuewa system, we'd have iu, uh, then a, o. So this is how it would rather look like, kind of like an X, right? Which could lead to some kind of harmony, but honestly, if I ever do vowel harmony, it's usually because I want non-concatenative morphology. I want to do something like the Semitic languages or anything like that. Usually I don't do vowel harmony, and even if I do, it's like gone after like 3 seconds. So like literally in the next couple changes, I shift something that absolutely disrupts it, and overall that. So a lot of times I actually really limit myself to this 5 vowel system. I could definitely expand more to have like a larger inventory, especially because right now we technically have quote unquote 10 vowels. We have 5 with like distinction, but still that's kind of like 10. Because lang distinction can change a bunch of stuff. You can diphthongize, you can raise, lower, front, back, whatever. Really, whatever. Um, I think, okay. I think I'm just gonna leave phonology as is and just start messing with grammar. Thanks, Milo. Thanks. I'm really trying to stream more or post more videos. It's really just not compatible with my current schedule. Oh my god, Ambrosh, hi. Haven't talked to you in ages. Hi, Millions, however you say your name. Hi. So, hmm, grammar. Right, grammar. So for grammar, I'm thinking, where do we start? Verbs are definitely interesting. So that's probably gonna be my first like station, I guess. Although for noun cases, I do want to kind of limit myself to less noun cases. A lot of times I do like, I don't know, 8 of them, and I have to like make up a bunch of endings, and it's just such a long procedure that I just get bored of it and give up. I think I'm gonna limit myself to something like 5-ish or 4. So definitely have a nominative, accusative, dative, genitive. Those are like the most important one. And maybe one that is related to location in space, so ablative for moving away from, which pretty much gives you like 8 million stuff. You can turn it into a genitive, you turn it into a dative, whatever. So that's for nouns. I'm just gonna put this aside. somewhere there. For verbs, um, I probably want personal agreement, right? I do want personal agreement. I do want to have conjugation. I don't just want to do the English way of having like two forms on average per verb. So definitely that. Hmm, there's a bunch of stuff you could actually do. Uh, uh, anyways, for tense, tense we definitely want present, right? That's like obvious. You want a present tense. Um, on like marked on the verb. For the past, you could either do auxiliary verb or have person marking, or you could do what, for example, Russian does with only like agreeing with the noun gender, but I don't really know if I want to have gender downs yet, so I might not do that. So, for sure, I do want to have some form of imperfective perfective split to probably this is going to be through reduplication, which could do a bunch of cool stuff. What is this about that you're doing? I'm making a language right now. I'm restarting for like the 8 millionth time, but could you shout out my name, please? Sure, Zalán Kardos 6254. Is this your language? Yeah. It's pretty much just the beginning stages when I'm like, still figuring out the proto language. Then I have to do a bunch of sound changes, grammatical changes, semantics changes. Will the creator answer me? Is that all you're gonna do? I am answering you actively, by the way. I barely have any viewers usually, so I usually do see if any new messages pop up. Um, so back to brainstorming. Back to brainstorming. So we do want to have an imperfective perfective split marked on the verb. Um, an infinitive is you're welcome. An infinitive is optional, I guess. You could technically leave the infinitive to be marked the same way as one of the persons, or you could just not have an infinitive too. But I don't really like that. I like having a marking for the infinitive of the verb because it really does help a lot of times. So an infinitive, hmm. I'm so happy to share the same interest in Google. Fuck, I forgot how to speak. Hold on. I forgot how to pronounce that. This is as much many attention. Thank you. Thank you. It's a shame really that not many people really care about linguistics that much, because it's really an interesting bundle. Because there you can basically do a bunch of stuff in linguistics. You could do historical stuff. You could conlang to create your own stuff. Look really nice. It's a nice hobby too, actually. Ever since I started, I've been much more occupied. Honestly, I've been much less bored overall. Hold on, I think I heard something in my house. Because sometimes I don't know if it's the roof or what, but it just keeps, it just keeps, like, my house keeps making sounds, and I don't know if it's like a cat walking around on the roof or what. That doesn't matter. It's fine, it's fine. Um, so, what else do I want? Hmm. I definitely do want to have some kind of auxiliary verb type of stuff to have, like a complex verb construction at least in one of the forms, like a past tense or future tense. Future tense probably. Are you studying this in college or something? No, I'm doing it all myself, honestly. It's just a hobby I started. So yeah, I'm not studying it at all. I might in the future, but I don't know. I don't know yet. The options are limited a bit in the area I'm in, so yeah, that's kind of a bit sad. Plus, I really don't want to learn linguistics in Hungarian because Hungarian linguistics has a bunch of terminology that just sounds so horrible. Like I am so used to linguistics in English that I absolutely despise linguistics in the Hungarian language, especially because the Hungarian language is also has an analysis of itself on a completely different level, and it has completely unrelated terminology on that, and has yeah, it's just a mess, honestly. Do you have a future plan with this? Probably, yeah. I do want to really have a like a world. The reason is that's the reason I have like this timeline as well. I want to have a world where I can place these languages and have like actual world building. It's really hard, but it's really hard. But I do want to have that. Where is the hardest language in the world? Subjective. It really depends who you ask, because people who are not used to tonal languages will say something like Mandarin Chinese is the hardest because of its tones. I don't think, like, you can't really measure the difficulty of a language, like absolutely, because everyone has different opinions. But I wouldn't say it's an easy language. Of course, it's hard to learn because it's just completely unrelated to any other language basically around it. But I wouldn't say it's the hardest. It's definitely high up there, but it's not the hardest. I think, at least, even though I am I'm a native speaker. I don't. Yeah, sure. I don't understand things, but what is that mango on the top? That's just an image to like censor the top of the browser that I have, so it doesn't show the bookmarks, the links, and the tabs, because usually I'm like constantly opening stuff in the background, like I don't know, like Lexergy and other pages in the back when I do research. And I don't know. I honestly I don't even know when originally I put that there. I put that there, I think, like half a year ago, because I was doing something, and I just decided to hide like the top of the browser, like the link, especially the like the search bar and the link. I don't know why I did it, but it's ever since then I just kind of left it there. It's kind of just like tradition nowadays. Is there such things there? Not to my knowledge. I hope not. I don't pin stuff that are like weird onto my um bookmarks and stuff. Actually, if you look at my bookmarks, like 99% of it is related to conlanging and Google Sheets and Google Docs and Wikipedia, Wiktionary. Like basically that's the entirety of my bookmarks. And then sometimes you just have like random stuff mixed in, that like Discord developer portal and my like Gmail, and that's about it. The rest is pretty much just conlanging stuff. What software are you using to stream? OBS. I use OBS. I used to use, like, back in the old days, like in the first year of this channel, I used Streamlabs, but it was so horrible because it kept lagging and messing up the sound, and I just don't like. I didn't like it that much. And then I started using OBS, and it's like 1,000 times better. The two are kind of related because they're kind of dependent on each other. I think, at least I've read slash heard, but yeah, either way, it's much better to use OBS. It does have its limitations. It does have limitations, but it's still very versatile overall. So, anyways, I'm getting a bit off track. Sorry. I should keep thinking, else I'm not gonna make a lot of progress. Um, I'm gonna just go to thanks. Thank you. Uh, so let's start thinking about auxiliary verbs. The auxiliary verbs, pretty much, if you don't know what it is, it's essentially verbs that you use to convey extra meaning in on the same verb, such as like tense and other stuff. Your English is very good. Are you British or just learned at school? Keep up the good work. I am Hungarian, and um, I learned some English in school, but mostly I learned it myself because in school it was just so horrible, and especially throughout fifth to eighth grade, my English teacher would just continuously force me to use British, like the British accent, because I usually didn't use the British accent. I spoke in the something closer to the American accent, and she would just sometimes say like wholly random BS that had no correlation to the English language, and I like, for example, I have never once heard anyone pronounce advertisement as advertisement. And apparently British people do that, but I am like 99% sure they don't. Or even if they do, that has to be like some obscure dialect, something like, I don't know, the Scots or anything. Really. But mostly I just learned English by myself. I yeah. It's a long story, but I'm not gonna get into details, to be honest. Uh, so auxiliary verbs. I do want to have a future auxiliary verb for sure. Also for tense, I want to have probably a past non-past distinction, because the non-past is pretty much the present tense, and if you use the future auxiliary, then the future tense, and then you have the past tense just marked on the verb, which is nice. Um, Imperfect and perfective is fine. We can keep that on the verb, possibly. Infinitive. What do you recommend to improve my English? Pretty much, like, um, it's hard to say because everyone's a bit different. But for example, I used to watch a lot of English videos. Like back when my knowledge was at like probably A2, or like maybe a high A2. So like very simple. And I would just always take a look at a sentence, fill in the vocabulary that I know, and the rest pretty much just like, guess until it makes sense. Which does come with some trade-offs. So for example, for a long time, I thought that yesterday was a day of the week. It wasn't. It means like the previous day. But for a long time, I thought it meant that. But still, even with that horrible mistake, it's pretty much just practice everyday English. So like listen to how people speak English online, or offline, so actually in the world, and just like kind of just let your brain learn. Pretty much that's it. Is Young Sheldon a good series to improve our English? I don't know. I honestly have never watched Young Sheldon. I've seen like clips, and from what I can hear, that I don't think it's appropriate for beginner English, but I mean, if it helps you, I'm sure. Ungor just forced British on everyone. That's true. That's absolutely true. Ungor Andra. She was my English teacher, and also head teacher of the class, and she just forced everyone to learn British. It was awesome feeling. Obviously, it was everyone loved it. Everyone absolutely loved it. They have a very Texasian accent. Uh, sure. I've honestly never paid that much attention. I usually just pay attention in the sense that, like, can I deduce that somebody is uh either British or American or Australian, like pretty much these three mostly. Those three I can kind of distinguish, but the rest I don't really pay too much attention to. So, auxiliary verbs. Sorry, I'm getting off track again. For verbs, also imperatives. I have to do something about imperatives, which is basically commands. I'm gonna say I'm gonna have it on the verbs because recently I'm working on an Indo-European lang right now, like like kind of like in the background and sometimes. And there, for example, the imperative is an auxiliary verb, which it does make some stuff sound weird a bit, but it still works and I kind of like it. But I don't want this language to have imperative as a separate verb. I want it to be marked on the same verb. So, now from Poland, what's your favorite place of articulation? Favorite place? Probably alveolar. Or alveolar or pharyngeal. Alveolar are just cool, honestly. There's like a million sounds there and just obviously goated. Most of the action happens there, so yeah, American is way more understandable in my way of thinking. I mean, depends on the person. A British person is gonna say British is more comprehensible. An American is gonna say an American, probably. In my honest opinion, I learned American accent even when my teacher didn't want me to, and to me, it just sounds more like it's easier on the ears, to be honest. Which faculties did you choose or will you choose? Uh, I chose IT right now. I don't know about the future. Probably I will still choose IT, but I might continue linguistics. And I don't know, honestly. For now, I'm keeping linguistics as kind of like a hobby. I don't know if I'll ever change that, but it's definitely gonna be a prominent part of my life from now on. So, uh, okay. Let's start making some tables for the verbs. So, person, obviously we want the first, oopsie daisy, first, second, third. Singular, plural. Do we want a dual number? Because duals are pretty nice, but I think we could just say that let's evolve it later and let's not mess around right now. Especially because verbs usually don't have that much detail in conjugation of person. Usually it's just the base six of the singular plural plus the first, second, third. First, second, third. But nouns are a different question. Nouns are a different question. American English is like the vanilla English. I mean, yeah, technically British is the clean English, but I don't really believe that. So, yeah, American is just better, honestly. What other languages do you speak? Well, English, of course, then Hungarian because it's my native language, and I'm learning Russian in school as like a secondary. Oh my goodness, hold on, I forgot the word. Uh, Either way, I'm learning Russian as well, so very simple. So I'm not fluent at all. I'm far from it probably, but I can kind of comprehend stuff. So yeah. So person is gonna have 6 markings. Then also, so I did mention tense. I should have this full like table I chart. We have tense, aspect, and mood. Imperatives, an imperative, that's a mood as far as I remember. I think. Hold on, let me check. Imperative is It's grammar, yeah. No shit, Sherlock. What part of it is? Mood, thank you. I can count up to 6 in Russian. That's nice. Actually, 7. I wonder why. I really don't know. I wonder why you can, Milo. I wonder why you can. Definitely doesn't have to do anything with Chingo, right? Uh, Anyways, mood. Imperative for sure. Infinitive, I think, is like a different category. I don't know where it goes, but it's pretty much just exists. Imperfective, perfective, that's aspect, as far as I remember. So, hold on. Okay. Um, Imperfective, perfective, that's an aspect. Tense, we have non. Hold on, is non-past one word or two words? Hold on, I forgot. Non-past. Is it with a? No, it's one word. So non-past, past. Milo is studying Russian in school. Nice, nice. Me too. Um, it's really useful, especially if you are planning on continuing with IT, because English and Russian are pretty much the two main languages in IT. So, to tie that in. I love 6 and 7 for some reason. I honestly, I couldn't even have guessed. I I wasn't even ready for that. That's a complete surprise to me. Uh, so tense. Also, uh, gnomic. Gnomic is interesting. In the sense that it just states general truth, and in one case I did do like merge it with the infinitive, which sounds weird but technically works. But I don't want to merge it. I want the gnomic. Actually, hold on. Because the two could be merged. I know this is 5. Not 5 really. That's multiplying. Multiplying. So, what about Italian? Uh, Italian has it has the same issue as English, which is the dialect, pretty much. Except in Italian, it's much more radical to the point that like dialects aren't even about pronouncing things different. They're just about different grammar altogether. So Italian kind of has that issue. Plus, it never really like caught my attention that much. I don't know why. I just don't feel like I want to learn Italian. Just honestly, that's about it. Latin, like old, like the well, not old, like classical Latin, not the modern, but classical Latin, is interesting in my opinion. It sounds nice. It looks cool. But most Latin descendant languages aren't just my type, honestly. Is Kahoot a good way to learn a language? Eh, Subjective, heavily subjective. I can't really speak on that because I don't know. But I'm learning German. It's fucking. I mean, I heard it from some of my classmates who are also learning German. That it's not sunshine and rainbows every day. So I kind of get it. I kind of get it. Well, I have to know. I have to check the gnomic. It's an aspect. An aspect. Hold on. Where is it? Aspect. No. There we go. Uh. Okay. The mood. Hold on. Hold on. I have to. Hold on. Called mood. Moods. Grammatical mood. Related to verbs. Yeah. Hold on. Oh, there. Indicative. Yeah, yeah. That's it. I need to have an indicative. Indicative is just basically the default state of the verb. So, I say one sentence. I've been learning it for a year and a half. Relatable, honestly, relatable. Miles better than my French. Oh, why are you learning French? You could have chosen anything else. Why French? Anyways, so indicative, yeah, that's nice. Okay. I think this is a nice tense aspect mood, even for the Pro language. Although for the Pro language, actually, the nomic could be omitted. So having non-past past, imperfective perfective, and indicative imperative overall, I think that's a nice. I think that's a nice little division. So okay, now I just have to design these. Hold on. So tense, we have non-past. Whoa, non-abst, non-past and past. That's nice. So I'm thinking that non-past is gonna be unmarked. Because it's kind of default. Same for the imperfective and the indicative. So those are pretty much unmarked. They're just the default forms, and these are gonna have markings. The past. So I don't know. Do I want the past to have reduplication or the perfective to have reduplication? Because the two are kind of related, halfway through, but both of them could be nice with reduplication. And I could actually technically I could do. Oh, but no, what? No, hold on. Because double reduplication sounds weird. That just sounds off. So, hmm. Okay. You think about endings. So, I'm kind of taking inspiration from Biblaridion here, who did his own conlang, of course. He's still doing it. Where he essentially had one verb have multiple forms from non-concatenative morphology depending on what you wanted to express. And that could be nice. It could be nice to have that. So we could have a verb stem for non-past and a verb stem give me a second. I'll collect my mind. A verb stem for non-past and a verb stem for past, which could be decent. So I'm gonna just delete this for now. So here in tense, like different stems as in like have such radical like changes done to it that it essentially in the modern language 99% of the time will become a completely new stem, which pretty much your only choice there is reduplication or some form of ablaut, but yeah. What's your least favorite grammatical feature? Least favorite. I honestly cannot answer right now because usually like noun class / noun gender systems are cool. They're really nice and solve ambiguity. I mean, polypersonal agreement, but that's also cool. The thing is that more common stuff, I'm just used to it, and for rarer stuff, I mean, usually they're cool. So I used to hate like non-concatenative morphology and infixes, but nowadays I'm kind of used to it, so it's also not. I don't know. I honestly can't answer that. Like off the top of my head, definitely not. Are you not interested in Googleology anymore? I mean, I'm partially still somewhat interested in it. I still know like most stuff. But I don't spend a lot of time on it, honestly. I don't usually spend my time with it because nowadays I'm more interested in IT and linguistics. Sometimes I still do think about it, but not too often. Not too often. Okay, so hmm. 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 Let's have some example roots, okay? Let's have some example roots. Cat, for example, cat. That's nice. And let's have some kind of suffixes, I guess. Let's have the base stem, of course. We're gonna have. So we definitely need some kind of. I don't know. Do I want to have umlaut, which is just basically vowel mutation with the vowel e? But do I want any kind of vowel mutation or harmony? Well, partial harmony. I mean, it could be nice to have umlaut, but we also could do fronting and opening or lowering, uh, or backing. I mean, looking at the vowel system, I mean, pulling stuff back and like backwards and like down could work, but I don't know. Pulling stuff more towards E is just the general stuff, so we're gonna have some umlauting suffix like maybe even have it be able to still stress, but that would require it to be like either long or closed or both, which makes it really hard to get rid of it. So I'm gonna keep it short. Um, we could have. Do we want infixation? I mean, infixation is interesting in the sense that I mean it mostly goes through metathesis, uh, but I don't know. Hmm. Technically, we could do lenition, or at least with consonant final roots, we could do lenition using h. So lenin them not into like voice plosives or regular voice explosives, but into fricatives. That could be nice. So maybe like some suffix like ah, I don't know, I'm just saying stuff. And we definitely want a reduplication. It's gonna be that I'm gonna rejuve the first consonant, and this is hold on, this is a reduplication. Rejuve the first consonant and insert some vowel. It's probably like ah. Maybe like that. In the case of cat, we'd have cat, whoopsies, cat, catty, or catty, catha, and no. Let's do a cat, like that. And let's also mark the stress just in case. So cat is stressed here, catty is stressed here, catha. Actually, hold on. That's an open long vowel and a closed short, so that receives the stress still. And cat, in that case, here goes the stress. Actually, now that I'm thinking, reduplication is always going to result in the stress not really moving. No? Unless the root is short open. Nah, let's not do that yet. This is just some. So we do want to do the consonant shift, so we have cad. then kadi. The t would turn into th. So I'm gonna keep it th for now. I'm just gonna romanize it with a thorn. So katha and kekad. Then we could do, so we do umlaut. Umlaut, oopsies. Umlaut turns a maybe into a, so kadi, but these are not affected. Then the e drops off, so we get cad. Then katha, maybe like shortens up at least because of the loss of word final vowels. So kadi, then cad and katha. And then kekad. We could do lenition again, technically. Kekad. Maybe a plosive could len it into a fricative if it's right before the stressed syllable. So this would become hekad, hekad. Either he or he, doesn't really matter. Hekad. And cad, so cad itself stays. In the end, we'd have like cad, then cad becomes, so a becomes a, and it's stressed. I mean, that doesn't really matter. A just shifts to so we'd have could, cad, could, katha, probably kas, maybe, potentially, and hekad would turn to hekad. That would definitely turn to schwa. So hekad technically, but it doesn't really change the roots. See, that's my issue. But that's just one. Let's test another one. Let's test a different one. Like same, maybe. Have same, samey, same ha, and the same. Stress, false here, false here, false here, false here. There's the same stress pattern. If I turn this short, that will still remain, right? But if I add another vowel, like demo, let's say that E just replaces the final vowel, then ha, that immediately moves it to the long A, ha, and sissimo instead becomes sissimo. Nice. In that case, the shift doesn't really happen. So by that point, that ha probably disappears. Let's have simoa. Yeah, that's about it. And then we start the stuff. So semi becomes si. Oh, it's sim. Okay, we're gonna have to find a romanization for this. I'm not gonna type that out. Okay. Let's just see me. I'm just gonna be lazy. Let's change Caddy into Kitty. There. I'm getting lazy. Okay. And Simua. We could say that O disappears when we get Sima. Instead. So that could work. That is umlaut done. which then loses its final vowel. Simo, the oopsies. Simo loses its final vowel, so we get sem, sim, and sema. We'll shorten into sema, and sesemo will turn to sesim. Then we could do rhoticization of s becoming r between vowels or voice segments, whatever you want to do, but vowels could work too. I've never done that change. I've pretty much never done that change, honestly. Serem, but the rest stays. Same, sim, sema, serem. Then we could do nasalization. So we'd have. Okay, hold on. We'd have sen, sin, sema, and serem. Or we could do that only unstressed vowels do that, so stressed stays. So sem, sim, sema, serem. And then sim stays, so we get some, sim. Shut up, smart fail. We got maybe sma. Can that reduce? We could actually do that reduces even more before the stress. Maybe like to this becomes hakad. And then this becomes sama. Same seems sama. And seren. So becomes a. So we got sera. Some seem sama sera. For the four forms. So in this case, this wasn't really affected as we wanted. I don't know. I definitely do want to have some kind of umlauting affix, definitely an E or something similar. Either E or maybe he, but I don't know. Then what else can you do that is non-concatenative? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Hmm. I'll figure this out later. I figure this out later. So, non-past, past will have different stems, probably due to reduplication. So non-past is none, and the past is gonna have reduplication suffix with some like maybe E. So yeah, that could work. Maybe. Hmm. I'm gonna put this. Hold on. I'm gonna put this here because it's relevant for that. This is also unmarked. This is also unmarked. Perfective could be marked with something, and imperative could be marked with something. Imperative usually could be marked with something like to do, like the verb stem itself to do. Like yeah, the perfective. Perfective. What do you mark the perfective with? It's a completed action, so you need something that conveys the meaning of the past. But what? Hmm. I genuinely don't know. Holy. Uh, effective. Because to do would be nice there too, but we already used that. Make Hungarian too. Why? Why is that your username? I have a better question. What's going on with your profile? Either way, effective. Hmm. I don't want to do another reduplication because I already did that. So I don't want to just make up a suffix like off of the top of my head just because I felt like it. I wanted to have an origin because we have the timeline says we have 10,000 years. We could make a Proto-Indo-European. We could make Semitic languages. We could basically do the Austronesian languages, though that's a bit of a short time, but still, we have so much time, like in the world. So I do want to have like an origin, like a proper origin. Hmm. Maybe I could use something that has like an ablative meaning, like going away from it, because like it happened, so in time you're going away from the action itself, right? Like that could work. Maybe ablative. These are of course going to be hidden behind the person marking, so it's not gonna be really obvious, hopefully, but still. Hmm. Infinitive. For infinitive, I used to stand as the locative, which could be nice. So I could steal that idea from myself to use to stand for the infinitive. That could work. And that's about it, I guess. Person marking is a different question on where you get that from because you don't have to use pronouns. You could theoretically use any word that could semantically shift to mean a person, at least in the verb. So that's nice. Another thing I was thinking about, it's much more vocabulary wise, but so usually, for example, in Proto-European, you have like a million suffixes that have meanings like action or result nouns, I don't know, adjectives with the characteristics of a material, like, or I don't know, agentative noun or agentative object noun. So you have a bunch of these, which essentially means that roots are just ideas, which would make a lot of sense technically. So what we could also do is have pretty much mono or disyllabic roots that are basically just ideas, and then whatever you suffix it with, it turns the meaning into that, which could be nice. For sure, it could be nice. Um, let's have something like a roots part here. The roots meaning. And I'm just saying that every root is of max 2 syllables. Without any affixation, of course. Um, hmm. So I don't know. Let's make some wacky root, like with the w, for example. Like let's make a root like woke, a walk, whatever it means. I don't know. Like person, maybe. I guess I'm just making up stuff right now. So, mm, walk. In modern language, for if we go through the shit, that becomes walk, and then whatever you do with it, I guess you could do like book, maybe. I don't know. It's a root, so we really don't use it on its own. So you'd have probably some nominalizer like I don't know. Ooh, that's so cool. And a long O could shift to U to save itself from turning into A. Or we could just do it like Vok or Vok. And then I don't know, the plural would be like Umi. We'd have woke me that becomes which nasals is into which becomes E, I guess. So we'd have Voch and Vach and Vachi. Maybe. I guess. I'm just saying a bunch of stuff right now. That's usually what I do. I just like mess around with roots and stuff until I find something that could be potentially interesting. I just note it down. 99% of the time I don't note anything down and just like I don't know, spend my time doing this bullshit. Um anyways, I guess technically not person because person is still not a root meaning. Technically the root meaning would be person like life to live, something like that. I don't know if you reduplicate it, would have like a walkie, and then like I don't know, have the first singular be I don't know is compare that with the normal one. We have walkies and we will actually hold on. What do we do? Actually, no, it shouldn't be. I'm retarded. We walkies. Technically, that should be yeah. We walkies. And I don't know. This gives us Wache, and that would give us Kja parallelizes into Ch, maybe, or Ch, fricative into Ch. Or we could just leave it as Wache and Wache, I guess. Hold on, where would the stress be? This is close long, so it would be oops, here. And here, that's long but open. And this is long but closed, so it would shift there. It have wall case and we wall case. So maybe because it's stress we can have Vucha, but we wall case would turn into Vacha. I guess. What am I saying? Okay, I'm gonna give up the root idea for now. I'm gonna do that later. I'm gonna do that later. I'm gonna figure out what I want to do, whether I already want to have nouns and verbs, or I just want to have ideas floating around in space. I'll figure it out. Technically, actually, Proto-European already has nouns and verbs. So, I don't know. Not everything is a verb. Although a lot of times what isn't a verb is either derived or loaned, but that's a different question. I'm gonna just ignore that for now. Hmm. Okay. Uh, Obviously, for these endings, I'm not gonna do these on stream for the endings. At least, in the sense that I'm not gonna be sitting here and just wondering how the hell would I derive these. I'm gonna do that part off screen because it's like a very long and tedious procedure in the sense that I get bored very fast. And I want to do more productive stuff when I'm streaming so that, most of the progress, the actual progress happens, on screen, online. So definitely could be nice to actually make some progress. Either way, with verbs, for now, I'll call that part somewhat done. It's probably far from done, but somewhat it is. Nouns, I already thought about, cases for numbers, singular, plural. The dual could be evolved again with the numeral 2 or something. So, um, yeah, that's a question for another day. That's probably like gonna be like actually when I finally finish the plural language, or at least quote unquote finish, and start making descendants. Then the grammatical changes and stuff can be, of course, as once more. Uh, but yeah, I've been streaming for nearly 1.5 hours, so I might as well call it here. Continue sometime when I have time again, free time, because today is a rare occasion. I usually don't have time on Saturday. My best bet is usually Tuesday when I can stream with actually speaking, But even that isn't a guarantee. So usually it's unknown. But I promise I'm trying to find perfect occasions when I can. And anyways, let's cut the bullshit short. I'm gonna stream sometime in the future. I guarantee I will. The exact date is unknown, but I guarantee I will. And see you guys then. Have a nice day, night, whatever it is, and